Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Particle Accelerator. I'm here today with Stefano. Stefano's got a deep background. You guys are going to love this. Stefano, would you start off by introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Stefano Gulbalis. I am a native from Miami. Native all my life. I lived here. I started my career by architecting the largest university in the United States, Miami Dade College. I was their CTO. I have about 45 years of working on among the largest companies in the world. I architected Motorola here in Stanford University. They were a giant at that moment. They were new in the racer. I worked for Digital Equipment Corporation, re-architected the Department of Environmental Protection, and on and so on. I've been with Lucent Technologies, Bell Labs, and my last engagement, I was the lead consultant for Capgemini, the largest consulting firm in the world, and I had the largest clients at the time. But unfortunately, COVID took my clients away with cruise line industry, and I continue into my dream, my company, a project I've been working since Miami Dade College, a vision about digitizing human IP and put it in a different way in the Web3 space.
Okay. So blockchain meets patents and trademarks kind of thing.
More than that, is blockchain meets AI, digitized intelligence, both artificial and human intelligence via decentralized identities.
Cool. I would love to get to know you a little bit, and we'll have a chance to jump into some of that. But I'd love to know, how did you make your first dollar as a human being? For me, it was a paper route, but what was it for you?
I was an ACA school dropout. My mother, I was freaking out in Ecuador. I'm from Ecuador. So it was very difficult, although it was a free school, 2,000 students, maybe 200. I like to party, so I didn't want to do that. My mother got very upset, put me to a TRZ training class with basic, coded basic. Then I went to, she forced me to go another class, was NCR. And I learned COBOL on analysis. A good friend of mine hired me at Xerox to do their screens and reports in COBOL, because the application from the United States would not fit the IBM System 34. It was too big, so we had to code it from scratch. The application was needed for the technicians to go from point A to point B, come back. Now that's called CRM. So that's how I started my career, building CRM from scratch.
Back in Ecuador, do you have something you did for a few bucks just to make it when you were a kid? What was really the dollar?
A business, I said to my father, I want to put my own business. And he gave me, I think, $20,000. And I bought 5 go-karts. And I started renting them. And I have so much money, my pockets could not fit the money.
Yeah,
It was crazy. Until one day, a father of a 6-year-old insisted that he drove the car. And there was a big accident. Thank God the kid did not get injured. I sold the business. I should have done that. I would have been rich. I proceeded to go back to university and gave away my entrepreneur dreams. Therefore, Led Zeppelin was extremely successful, but unfortunately, most of my partners, we were dealing with the cash, and they walk away with cash. I was too naive.
Yeah, I had a yard type of business where I helped somebody with doing some yards, and I don't think I saw any money from that in the end. Was there a toy or hobby that you had as a child that you think influenced what you do career-wise today?
My hobby was technology, science. You have insatiable appetite to learn. As a matter of fact, I'm 64. I'm going back to my master's in AI. I did some post-work at MIT, but my master's, because I'm helping Miami Dade College, the largest university in the nation, with the AI program. I'm the AI Society. The activity in Miami for AI is going to be massive. We're planning one of the largest AI events in the planet in Miami.
Yeah, excited to hear more about that. Is there a quote from a famous person that lives in your mind rent-free?
Yes, Einstein. Let me see if I can quote it. Basically, it goes by that knowledge has limitations, imagination is infinite. So, although no matter how many degrees you have, if you don't have imagination, you cannot build and develop solutions. Imagination is the core and the DNA of every human being, and that's via what you are, what you have learned, your experiences, who you are, right? Who you connect, you study.
Yeah, very cool. I'm excited to continue the quest to get to know you. What inspired you to co-found Nebula AI?
My journey started after I went to Xerox. I jumped and worked at Miami Dade College. I was doing my computer science degree in co-op. I was doing data entry in program evaluation, data management, data science, right? And they were doing a major study for PhD research, Dr. Padron, the president of school, and CATC for the student evaluations, meaning they will rate the teachers at the end of class, and the evaluation happens through a scan through machine and the data analytics with SAS in the mainframe. They had one of the largest in Florida. And they will compile that, do the data crunching, and use the results for promotions or demotions, whatever it needs to be. And also measuring whether a class is correct, they need to change that type of class and so forth. So during that time, the analyst slipped and fall and killed himself. That was a shadow IT operation. So in Kendall campus, the mainframe guys, 150 of them refused to help. So we got Sigler's administration at the time is having a panic attack because he's a bit research stuck. And there was no one else doing that. And they asked me to get into the system, and I had to hack it. And that's how I started my career. I'm one of those guys that throw me something, I learned it. The program was 500,000 lines of code, spaghetti code, no comments. It was assembler, Fortran, SAS, JCL, COBOL. And it took me about a month, and that's how I ended up managing. I took eventually networking, eventually implemented the internet with Cisco routers. At that time, there were 600 people on Cisco because ARPANET and the universities were connecting before commercial. And during that time, testing asked me to do a program. And that program was aptitude testing and matching the jobs. It was called Rapid Application Development. I had a program that was the best program I ever seen. Think of Notebook LM, but in code. There's one program right now called DevPre that is amazing. So Bytel eventually got bought out by FoxPro. FoxPro got bought out by Microsoft, and off we went. My profile is not enterprise looking, it's more like a decentralized identity with a lot of context. The U.S. Army first recruiting brigade from Fort Meade, Maryland, increased their programmer productivity by 800% with Jennifer. Jennifer was unbelievable. Jennifer was the best tool to create applications. To give you an idea how big was this, I did the application a month. It in 10 years never had a bug. And it stopped because the ARS could not handle anymore, and I cannot support it because the program disappeared. Never had a bug, but was so accurate because it allowed me to do multiple layer screens and what ifs, one screen and the other screen, or the other screen and XOR, and I had infinite layers. So imagine the most advanced was that pivot table you'll ever see. It was amazing. It worked for a long time. And that gave me the idea of aptitude is the DNA of every individual person, right? Let's go back and remember the disaster of Cambridge Analytica, right? In face. They map something similar, but the emotional intelligence and all the stuff, and they use that for manipulation. But my concept is reversing that disaster happened and converted this into a decentralized identity where you own the data and no one else. No more freemium. This is the Web3 space. And that's where the idea started. So Nebulai is a concept that we started when I was working in Ingram Micro, and I met my friend Renato Garo from Google now. He was at Microsoft at the time. I was the cloud evangelist for Ingram Micro, the largest distributor of software in the world. And I was a Microsoft at the time, Azure evangelist. And of course, Renato was Microsoft, one of the largest distributors. And we talk about this marketplace of solutions, not talent at the time, because that concept I have not mentioned to Renato, but solutions because Ingram Micro has this audience service automation, and eventually became the Cloud Blue, that marketplace of service and solution. And I think there's other services. When I was working as sales engineer, I had a disagreement with sales engineer, and I left and I joined an organization called Nose Labs. This organization was founded by one billionaires here in Miami, and now he has Manatech, I think, if you're familiar with. So the idea is Mana wanted to have that Web3, his whole architecture, do a digital twin and monetize the architecture of the city. This architecture took the keys to the city, yeah. There was no sphere. It was the Smart City Lab. At the time, I was Chief Innovation Officer at the time with Matthew Merchant, who presented the city with Beta City. They got the keys to the city because it was a super advanced concept, getting the whole city in the Web3 and digitize and monetize the whole concept because you can bring 3G, Wi-Fi, LoRaWAN, all these technologies to coalesce and collect there and use in the Web3. The idea of the concept was create an architecture that was modular like Legos, that you can tie in and have APIs that tie into this whole architecture to create this next generation architecture. Unfortunately, crypto winter came. Matthew's wife took the kids, did to walk away from him, left him in Paris. Now he has his own company. he's very successful. And everything, the crypto winter came, and unfortunately, the dream evaded us. I was very wanting to do this architecture. I briefly worked for Claro and Capgemini, but again, Capgemini was the lead consultant for cloud infrastructure services, TMT, technology media. While I was working in Nebula, I needed to make some money, so I got hired by Core. And Core right now is the leading architecture in enterprise solutions. So Core is above IBM, Amazon Web Services, Google. Right now is the leading architecture. I'm doing my architecture on this product, but at the same time, it's an architecture that's very solid for that would be a very interesting building the whole architecture. So I did more. I have an interesting video that, if you don't mind, I can play. Yeah, so and let me show you the video because this video was a legacy video we had from Nebulai that we did a while ago, and we stopped because regulation was an issue and the tokens and all stuff. But now with everything coming back, this is a reality, and this will be the core intent for Nebula.
Introducing
You heard that?
Yeah.
Okay, here goes.
Nebulai, a technology for good company. The mission at Nebulai is to create a fair and trusted technology solutions and talent ecosystem. The Nebulai Decentralized Solutions and Talent Marketplace, or DSTM for short, is the first decentralized marketplace in the world that allows technology providers and talent to sell and monetize solutions and skills. The Nebulai's DSTM ecosystem is composed of 1. Organizations issuing requests for solutions and talent. 2. Investors providing capital to organizations, solution providers, and talent through V5. 3. Federators or oracles facilitating dispute resolution and getting rewarded with a piece of overall contract value. 4. Solution providers listing, selling, and building solution. 5. Talents providing skills and getting fairly compensated for them. 6. Technology solutions that can be bought and sold on the market. All of this with the ability to leverage the Nebula rewards and loyalty system, which allowed users of the ecosystem to transact within the DSTM and interact with other platforms for value-added and complementary services. So, what are the main use cases of the DSTM? First, it can be used by enterprises and government organizations to allow for fair and transparent tendering of technology solutions and talent, while enabling transaction privacy and efficient contracting. Second, it can be used by education institutions and talent pools to connect talent with an ecosystem that would allow them to gain critical skills and experience building emerging technology solutions while validating their participation and getting paid for their contributions. Third, the DSTM can help the individual to join an ecosystem that allows them to monetize their skills and talent while protecting them against bias and corporate abuse. Fourth, it allows investors to contribute capital, which can be used by members of the ecosystem to accelerate technology solution development, finance digital transformation projects, monetize intellectual property, and accelerate the development of new skills. Civilized Marketplace accelerates the adoption of the Web 3.0 vision of the future. Nebulai, take control of the way your company acquires emerging technology solutions and talent.
Hopefully that gave you a little peek of what the iceberg is, right?
Yeah, I think it did. What does that mean for the average business? I think of most businesses are adding some combination of open source. It sounds like you're reimagining how a company would work together with their technology teams and vendors to integrate their technology.
Yeah, exactly. Now let's start with why is that, right? When I worked in Bell Labs, Lucent, Avaya was created. In Avaya was about 79,000 employees, and we're starting up people like crazy, and we have only direct sales architecture. And I got moved to what they call the channel. Me and Bobby Hall were the southeast of the channel. The channel is basically a salesperson for your organization that only gets paid if they sell. They don't have a salary. So the channel was a wonderful thing. As we're shedding employees, the employees were going to the channel and the channel starts flourishing. So at one point, we were making with 6,900 people more income and revenue than we were making with 79,000 employees. And they're not paid. It's your job, right? And from that concept, there's something extremely important they have to get. It's what they call compensation drives behavior, right? Simple. In traditional legal contracts, you have one-way contract. Amazon hires you, you have no rights. Amazon fires you, you have no rights. In Web3, you can create a contract that's two-way. So it's from the employer and the employee. The employee has their social contract says, I am a mother, I can only work from 9 to 12. I make $1,000 an hour. You cannot mess with that. Employer says, I want this as result, these KPIs, you have to do it, you get paid. So let's go back to what the federal government works with contracts. So when a federal government puts a bid, what they need from the vendor, a bond, right? So the bond is created in such a way, so if you mess up, you lose the bond, right? But of course, the federal government pays you immediately, right? Not. If you're a small business, 6 months may be the end of your business or you're broke. Because they don't care. They don't have empathy about it. I'm the federal government. We want your money and your services, and you put a bond and you have everything to lose. With smart contract, the beauty of it is if they say they're going to pay you every week, the smart contract says it gets paid. So code is law. So we start those two concepts, right? And compensation drives behavior, code is law. So let's go to another example. I remember this artist, she's a singer. All her wages were messed up. The manager was stealing the wages. They were not paying the people, the band. They were not paying the producers. So it was a mess. And she created this called Passport. That's an NFT of her artwork and her music. The beauty of the NFT is a smart contract that pays everybody that's a stakeholder that created the music the moment that piece of music is selected, right? So, and you think about that concept, yeah, the musician got paid, the writer got paid, the producer got paid, everybody got paid, and there was no intermediation, no more manager, right? Because of peer-to-peer solution, and everybody got paid. So in that concept, you see the automation that Web3 brings with smart contracts is unlike nothing else, right? If you combine that with AI, it becomes a beautiful tool. So let's start there and talk about clean, good data, because AI requires clean, good data. Andrew Ng says not about big data, it's about clean, good data. So you go to Hugging Face. Have you found clean, good data in Hugging Face? No, you don't find clean, good data. No? All that data is dirty. You go to a website, you collect that, inject that AI. What about injection? That's going to destroy the AI. The other side of our architecture is clean, good data, and how you connect clean, good data. Smart contracts. So let's talk about that. You have a data set of kitties that MIT, Berkeley, Harvard, and all these universities put together for training an AI. Or better yet, kitty is not good. Cancer, right? Medical research that requires domain knowledge specific training for that. If you don't have clean good data, then you're going to have to start having bias, you'll have having problems. Worse off, you cannot replicate that solution, right? That clean good data. So with blockchain, you can say, okay, that data has been perfect. Boom. Every time you buy that data, everybody gets paid that work on the data and maintains the integrity. With blockchain, you cannot mess the provenance of that. It's super important. So let's take that further down to video or to news. Truthful in data, you can secure truthfulness in data through an oracle, could be university or something, and use that to train AI. So going back to instead of being just for data, is for work effort, Gantt chart, right? And that work effort has timings, KPIs, SLAs for 1 or 2 people, 3 people, 500 people, doesn't matter. Because the smart contract protects every stakeholder within, the buyer and the seller. If someone messes up, that person loses their stake or their bond.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with the applications of the Web3 concept of smart contracts. I'm familiar. I think people understand the practical example of Uber, which is probably the closest thing we have to a really practical example where you take an Uber, you pay, the driver gets paid, and Uber gets paid, and it all happens in a single transaction. I know that's not driven by blockchain today, but what do you think the biggest gaps are between your vision for blockchain in the process of either collecting clean data or exchanging services? What are the gaps that you're seeing?
Right now, people's not used to that, right? And right now, you only understand crypto, right? Crypto is the only thing you understand because crypto is the planet of the universe in the universe blockchain, right? And blockchain is so much bigger than that. And this is one of the applications blockchain has that's not crypto. We can use crypto for payments, by the way. We're based on Polygon, and we're looking at that. Right now, we're building also in near. We're going to be building in near. But at the end, the way it's going to work, because if you think about this concept, it applies to absolutely anything that has intermediation. Anything that has intermediation, I can call Angie's List, right? I call Angie's List, say, okay, $75 for me to go there. I pay the $75, the guy never comes.
Right.
In smart contract, okay, $75, the guy doesn't come, I get $75. I'm happy with that. The benefit is going to be similar to a credit card that protects you against fraud. You're not going to know it's happening, right? The technology is will be hidden and it's going to look like a credit card. Telegram is blockchain, right? When you don't know, that's blockchain.
So there's a challenge here, right? That nobody, like, blockchain only exists in the world of crypto.
Crypto exists in the space of blockchain. It's the other way around. Blockchain is the bigger universe. Crypto is the tiny little concept that has been created in the form of Bitcoin or Ethereum.
But more commerce would have to move into the world of blockchain as you're describing it.
Not necessarily because we use USD. This whole thing can be done in USD. That's not crypto at all. So for you will be a transaction in dollars.
There's this shift that you're talking about, the way we work, a shift in the way we do business, where we're representing everything in smart contracts and then digitally approving agreements. So how does that start to happen?
It's an ecosystem, right? I studied something called Superminds from MIT, and there's a website called Superminds.design that Gianni Giacomelli from the Computer Science Lab and Collective Intelligence Lab from MIT wrote a white paper, and it's about augmented collective intelligence, right? So an ecosystem is a little bit different. You have to bring into the ecosystem. But for you will be, I want to make a transaction, I'll go to a website, the user experience, I want to do a contract. There's a company called Escrow. That's a company they use in, I don't know if you have gone to Escrow. It will work similarly, except that Escrow is not blockchain, right? It's intermediating. Because the idea of blockchain is removing the intermediator. You created this decentralized smart contract, right? And lives by itself, and no one's messing with your life in there because you do your job, you get paid. And that's the beauty of it. No intermediation, no bias. I remove bias by using a blockchain decentralized identity and only mapping the aptitude and needs that you have. The mapping is not happening with people, it's happening with skills and talent. So it does not have sex, does not have location, does not have anything that's biased. So it allows a 75-year-old grandmother that has 1,000 IQ in algorithm development that lives in South Africa and takes care of her 3 kids to take care of them from 9 to 12 and get paid $1,000 and live a good life without having the bias that she's Black, she lives in a hut, South Africa, and all the bias people have, and allows for humans to exist based on their true DNA and aptitude, their soul.
In the smart contracts, how do you solve the disagreement on what done truly is, like the definition of done?
If you look at augmented collective intelligence, it allows for dispute resolution and very elegantly and tie that to an oracle. And that's part of MIT's research, right? And augmented collective intelligence can bring an incredible valuable tool as AI is beyond our intelligence now. And with augmented collective intelligence, we can do has a system that will allow for very fair disagreement.
You're proposing that AI arbitrates the smart contracts.
No, what I'm proposing AI is augmented AI. So it's a human in the loop always. Because there's always human in the loop, and it's not AI. A human in the loop has to happen, but AI is moderating. The Superminds is a book that Professor Thomas Malone, he's a famous guy, wrote and talks about these ecosystems and how you solve for that. And they have a beautiful answer for that. And it's MIT's top research right now.
What do you think the first step is towards moving your vision into the mainstream where this becomes something the consumer wants?
It's 100% doable, 100,000 away or 200,000 away. A million away. It really is. The technology is here with vibe coding. Things are changing. We were talking at Miami Dade College that all the programmers, all the coders are toasted because the coders became AI. The programmers still human beings. And all of a sudden, the human developer becomes a reality. You don't need to be a coder because the guy with good ideas is not a coder. The guy with good ideas can be a mom and dad person, could be anyone. Their ikigai, their design, their DNA is what makes them imagine. And so let's go back to Einstein concept. Imagination is more important than knowledge because with AI, your imagination can build things that a PhD cannot even imagine to do. Because a PhD has the knowledge of PhD, but imagination is beyond PhDs.
Sure. Cool. It's been great to hear your idea and spend some time with you. You mentioned earlier that if people want to connect with you, they can connect with you on LinkedIn. Who specifically are you most interested in talking with right now?
Right now, I'm working to get this onto the NSF, National Science Foundation. I'm working with Miami Dade College because Nebulai is basically a digital twin of National Science Foundation. I can put Nebula in National Science Foundation like that and serves the whole National Science Foundation and removes the problem with grant stealing. They put a grant, Chinese come and anyone comes and they disappear with $10 million. They have billions of dollars being lost with a smart contract that can never happen. It allows for a fair integration of the digital economy worker, that gig economy worker. By 2027, 50% of the world population is going to be this digital. They don't have a backing company for them. The smart contract is what saves them to being abused from the takers. The givers can give without some idiot trying to intermediate and take their money. And direction that solve the program is to protect the individual. It's humanity as a service, what we build.
Yeah, very cool. We're excited to see where you go from here, and I really appreciate you spending time with us. It's been great to have you on today.
Thank you.